Welcome to Crystal Clear Moments. Hi there, I'm Crystal Blackwell, your host, executive coach, speaker, and your biggest cheerleader on this journey of transformation. This just isn't another podcast. It's a space where aha moments happen, where we get real about the twists, turns, and breakthroughs that shape us. You know those moments when everything just clicks? Well, that's what we're here for. Every episode, we dive into powerful conversations with inspiring leaders, change makers, and everyday warriors. We have faced challenges, embraced growth, and found clarity in chaos. We'll laugh, we'll learn, and we'll learn to leave every conversation a little wiser and a lot more empowered. So if you're ready for an eye-opening, inside, bold conversation and some serious motivation, you're in the right place. Let's get clear, let's get inspired, and let's make every moment count. This is Crystal Clear Moments, where one breakthrough can change everything. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to Crystal Clear Moments. I have Letitia Long, entrepreneur, author, and women's advocate here today as a special guest. I mean, there's a lot of things going on with you, and I'm just so excited to be able to share your work, your passions with Crystal Clear Moments audience. So let's just talk about and learn a little bit about Letitia Long. Letitia Long is the CEO and founder of Purelistic Health and Beauty. Let me tell you, that brand, that store, everything in there is fire. You've got to go and check it out. It's a brand dedicated to natural skincare and wellness. With over 30 years in the beauty industry, she has built a thriving business that promotes self-care and confidence. And you exude that just personally, but even like when you go into your store, like the vibe there is all about self-care and about positivity, and not just for women, just like for humankind. I feel like it's a place where people can go and safely talk about beauty care, safely talk about their confidence levels, safely talk about how to better themselves in a natural way. And I really love that. That's the vibe and energy that I get every time I go there, because I am a shopper. I'm a neurotic shopper there, and I've brought on a couple of family members. She's an author and entrepreneur. We're going to be talking about that today because I'm excited to hear about your latest launch of a book that's really got folks talking, and you're excited about it. And I know you put a lot of love into this, and I'm sure you're going to share that with us. She's written Vision to Victory. It's a step-by-step guide about launching your business. I mean, everything about you and the story you've shared with me before is about empowerment and entrepreneurship. So it's all about having your own, doing your own, being your own person, being your own woman. But I even feel like it goes beyond gender for you. I think it starts there, but I feel like you really cross like the lines of that. You're not just solely women. I've seen you really pour into like men in your store, helping them with things to make them feel better about themselves. She's passionate about encouraging, inspiring, and uplifting women, a self-proclaimed women's ministry leader at heart. See, I believe it's interesting you said that, because I believe like all women aren't women's ministry leaders. And I think sometimes we think that, but I think that it's some women just have that heart just to minister to women. And you definitely have that. So welcome to Crystal Clear Moments. I'm excited to have you. How are you doing today, girl?
Thank you. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you. I love the intro. I was like, who's that girl?
That would be you. That would be you. That's for sure. So we're going to just dive right in, because I really want to just peel away the layers and the different parts of you.
Yes.
What is your crystal clear moment that experienced your shift and your perspective that set you on your current path?
My crystal clear moment that set me on the journey of Purelistic Health and Beauty.
Yes.
Real quick, it was about a few months after my mother passed, and I was like, what am I going to do? It was during the pandemic, and so my business, like other millions of entrepreneurs across the country, businesses had closed, so mine was affected by that, and with the loss of my mother, I was kind of at, a crossroad where I was like, what am I going to do? So I went into some serious praying and trying to get like clarity and guidance. And it came to me, do what you love, do what you use, and do what you can share. And so for me, that meant do what I'd always been doing, being in the beauty industry and working with products that I had created, and working with women that I knew and wanted to get to know. So Purelistic Health and Beauty, it evolved out of that. So I started first with myself and my family and just kind of gathering all of my knowledge and projects and things that I had made over the decades and just kind of bottled it all up and created Purelistic Health and Beauty.
Wow. So I just want to give folks who don't know, who've never been to your brick and mortar, your place. You do have an online presence, but you have a place, and I want to share that. You're in a major mall here in the 5th largest city in the nation.
Yes.
And I always talk to you about this. You're strategically. Your business is right near a major department store, Macy's. And then of course C's Candy. I mean, who's not going there? So you're like in a premier spot, which I was always so proud of you for that. You're able to capture that, and you got that mall traffic that's going through. So talk to me about your vision for your business before it showed up in the mall.
So before it showed up in the mall, I kind of, like I mentioned, after I got clarity on what my life goal, because this is a life goal. It's not just something I'm going to be doing for the next 5 years. This is a journey, Purelistic Health and Beauty, that I plan on it being around forever. How it got started was I kind of started in my kitchen like a lot of other people. And I was like, I'm going to try my hand at doing like a First Friday, just going out on the street and selling my products. And that's what I did initially. And by the end of the night, I sold out of everything.
Wow.
And from that point on, I got invited to go into different stores and sell my products. So before I actually launched my own business, I had products in 6 stores.
Wow.
And so that opportunity just came for me to kind of expand and kind of really hone in on the vision that I have for Purelistic Health and Beauty. And that's where the mall, the presence, being next to Macy's was symbolic for me. After high school, that was one of my first jobs. I was a makeup artist for Fashion Fair Cosmetics, and my first department store was Macy's. So I was a makeup artist there. So it was significant for me to pick that location and, be able to connect with where this all started back in the early 90s.
Right.
So yes.
So it sounds like to me, this has been a part of you forever, this beauty industry piece. So let's go back. Let's go back some decades.
Okay.
Let's go back some decades. And let's talk about, when did you know that the beauty industry was calling you? I think about, like, I knew as a small child, I'd be doing some sort of teaching or coaching because as a kid, I played school and I was the teacher.
Yes, I could see that.
Always the teacher. Like, I want to be the teacher. And that just sort of like the core, like those gifts show up in you. Like what showed up for you so that you knew that you were in that beauty industry, which is billions of dollars, and it has lots of layers to it.
Yes, it really does. I knew in the 6th grade that I would be in this industry. I didn't know how. I didn't know at that moment that I would actually one day be living my dream out. And I knew in the 6th grade, it was Black History Month, and my teacher, Miss Wilson, she was a Black American, African American, and she took us on a field trip to a world-renowned chemist who created the Jerry curl, Dr. Willie Morrow. And he was an icon.
Girl, you said Jerry curl.
The Jerry curl. Girl, I'm going way back.
I love it. Let's talk about the Jerry curl.
And so this was at Baker Elementary, which was the school that I went to. And so that was like really, I knew about like the radio station. He owned the radio station 92.5, which was a Black radio station in San Diego, where I'm from. And so I learned a little bit about the hair industry. That was like my first introduction. Wow. And then like a few months later, I actually did get a Jerry curl, but that's in a whole nother book. That's not for today. And then later on that week, she told us about Madam C.J. Walker. And
of course,
at that moment, I just fell in love with the idea that I was going to be in the beauty industry and I was going to deal with women and help women feel beautiful through whatever I could give them. In my sixth grade year old mind, you know, and so as time progressed, after I got out of high school, initially I went to school to be a paralegal, and then I was like, this is not for me, and so then I went to Macy's, and that was where everything beauty, everything beauty, and I loved it, and I worked so hard for every company within the realm. I've worked for many companies while dabbling in that arena. And so I never got tired of it. I loved it. I loved the women. I loved making them feel empowered, making them feel beautiful. And that meant a lot to me. And so I knew that I was going to always be in this arena. And that was the beginning of the journey that started 3 decades ago.
I know you mentioned Madam C.J. Walker. I learned about her as a small child. And she's from Indianapolis, and that's where I'm originally from. So, you know, we knew where her factory was. And I mean, we knew her history. And I always remember, you know, when I launched my business, I thought about, you know, women millionaires and how she was the first woman, not even just Black woman, just first woman millionaire.
Yes.
And how, we're talking the 1930s, you know, when, I mean, kind of sit with that. So I'm always inspired. And I love that you've connected with that.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I think that's inspiring, especially when we have those dark moments when we're building our business or we're stretching to grow it. I think if she can do it in those times of Jim Crow and gender bias and stereotypes and just all the things that people of color go through and still be successful. And we're still having that conversation at 2025 about her, that inspires me. So I love that. We all need to understand whose shoulders that we're on.
Exactly. And that's it's so important. And when I think of Madam C.J. Walker and I think of the resilience and all that she did for the Black community, because at that time, that turn of the century, you know, we were still building and getting, you know, are fighting for our rights.
Right.
Well, Madam C.J. Walker, she was very instrumental in helping a lot of Black universities get their start. Tuskegee University and several other universities. So I always admired that. A few years ago, I wrote a kind of like a post about Madam C.J. Walker. And because, of course, she is one of the role models, the main one that I looked at in my journey. And just seeing how diverse she was and how instrumental she was in helping her community. And that is important. It's important to me.
Right.
And so there were very few women that were like her. I think Annie Malone and Madam C.J. Walker at the time were pretty much the only multi-millionaires that were around at the time. And so pretty iconic. And when I learned that story in 6th grade, I just grabbed onto it. I never forgot it. And I kind of used her as my role model.
So it's so powerful that we're even talking about this, because in this day and age, with the reshaping of history in our schools, here you and I are decades later, are still talking about a lesson that we learned as a small child, and the impact is made on our lives. You know, so for those who think that history doesn't matter, history does. All history. That's accurate. And celebrated. So so thank you for sharing that. I love hearing it. So you mentioned, and I'm always interested when I hear people, they say they have many jobs, because I remember that many jobs, because when you do have a lot of jobs, other people view that like, what's going on? You know, you gotta, but you know that you're doing something. Like for you, you're doing something. I can just only speak for me. having my husband would laugh at me like every 2 years. I was like, get another job, and he would never worry because he was like, you always get a better job and make more money. But I knew what I was looking for.
Yes,
and I wasn't a settler.
Yes,
and I didn't have the words for it. I just knew this wasn't for me.
Yes.
So tell me about your crystal clear moments of these many jobs that led you to being the woman that you are today.
Well, going back to working in the department stores, I loved what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted more. And so right around 2000, I decided that I wanted to come out of that arena. I wanted to go and get some more skills, some more training. So for me, I went back to school. I became a licensed cosmetologist, and I even studied trichology, and that helped. And so that's kind of like someone who specializes in disorders of the skin and scalp. And then the cosmetology is the cosmic portion of it. So I just wanted more skill set to go along with the decade of experience I had working one-on-one with women. I knew there was like a little area that was missing, and that was just the education piece. So I went back and I did that. And after, graduating from cosmetology school, I started opening up salons. And just pretty much for the most part, that's all I did. A few jobs here and there. If the season got slow, I would pop in and do something in a different arena that was centered around like dealing with the public still. But it was never really my goal to stay in those arenas because I couldn't connect with the women that I want the way I wanted to.
Okay, right. Because they had their structure, their blueprint.
Yes.
And you wanted to do something a little different.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
The blueprint and the structure that they had was great for that type of business.
Right.
But I was born to be a women's ministry leader.
Yeah.
And I felt that I was born to build rapport and relationships with women. That way I can help them in the way that I knew how. However God would use me, whether it would be a word of encouragement or praying for someone or even making something for someone to help them ease the pain or the struggle or whatever it was that they were going through. And so for me, my journey has always been centered around either owning salons or, a few times working in a corporate setting, but that was really never my thing.
Yeah, I definitely. It's like you're born that way. I think some people are just born that way. So let's talk about you and your products. I've always been interested to learn and hear about your products. So what was the first product that you made? Like you made this, you were proud of it, it's your baby.
Yes.
What was that?
Well, it's kind of funny. When I was a young, like teenager, preteen, I would, even actually in elementary school, I would always take my mother's skincare products, whatever, olive oil or whatever she was using. I would be like making it into like face masks or doing weird stuff. My siblings would be like, what in the heck you got on your face, And it would be like olive oil cream or something that I would take. And so from then I just kind of started dabbling with just making little things that I would make for myself. Never really realizing that playing that way would eventually turn into actual products. My first product that I think I created initially coming out of the gate was makeup. Making lipsticks, foundations. And then in the early 2000s, I started with some of my skincare making toners because those were like really easy to make. I had sensitive skin. I worked in the cosmetics arena at that time anyway, but I felt like we were so focused on makeup that everyone was overlooking skincare.
Yes.
So my first products, I would definitely say, were lipsticks and toners and cleansers, kind of dabbling in everything. When I started getting kind of serious about the skincare portion, that was like in the early, like 2004 was when I really started like getting more serious with it. And by 2006, I actually had a line. It was called Letitia Long Cosmetics. And so, but it was just kind of small scale. I was selling it in my salon. I had a salon in Scottsdale here, and I had one in Ahwatukee. And so it was just on a small scale. I really wasn't trying to do much with it. I had a few pieces of my skincare. Ahwatukee News, where I live, they did an article write-up on my makeup. And I had been featured on a few TV shows. And I kind of was getting a little exposure, but at that time I wasn't ready.
Right.
And so,
I get that.
But by the time 2006 came along, I did have the opportunity to meet with a major department store that we all shop at. And so I really was, it was an opportunity, a learning opportunity for me to see, okay, I got a little bit of ways to go, and I wasn't 100% vested like I am now.
Right.
So, you know, it really didn't go anywhere, but I continued to do what I was doing.
Good.
And selling it in my salons.
Yeah. So we've covered a lot right now. So let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back, and I
Yes.
want to hear more about that skincare. Because
Yes.
I think that is everywhere. Everyone's into skincare.
Yes.
Even little girls are into skincare.
Yes.
So welcome back. I tell you, so let's talk about skincare, because I know I have a great niece. Yes, I did say double great, who's around 8. And I went to visit her, and I was washing my face, you know, getting prepared, doing my end of the day work, my skin prep for the evening. And she asked me what type of serum I use. The fact that she knew the word serum cracked me up. But talk to me about the skincare, because I think that skincare, people are really leaning into it more than ever, even beyond makeup. So you being a professional, like what is your perspective and take on that?
Yeah, I believe that skincare is on the rise. I believe for the past, I would say 40, 50 decades, everyone's been so focused on covering up their skin and hiding the flaws. But we're entering into a new genre where people are more into skincare. They want to correct the problem as opposed to hide it, because they still have to take it off and look in the mirror. Skincare is very important. And I've always been an advocate for skincare. I remember some of the companies I worked for, I would go in, and of course I was a makeup artist at the time, and I would only have lipstick on. And they'd be like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, I don't want to cover up my skin. They're like, okay, well.
You're a makeup artist.
Yeah, you're a makeup artist, so you're going to have to put makeup on. But once I started doing my own thing, it was always about skin. I mean, and I sell makeup. I make makeup as well. But skincare is so important because I believe that great skincare can slow down aging.
Oh, I agree.
And so I'm a big proponent of that. I mean, we all have to age. You know, you can't avoid it.
Yeah,
but
right.
it's how you do it.
Absolutely.
And doing it gracefully. And so one of the reasons why I started this whole campaign about great skincare, and I introduced my Miracle Brightening line and my Hyaluronic Repair Serum, my hyaluronic lift serum, was because I felt that if women really took as much time as they do to do their hair and put their makeup on with their skin, then they don't have to cover it. They can wear their natural skin, throw a lipstick on, and look fabulous. And so skincare is definitely one of the main proponents that we push at Purelistic Health and Beauty, not only for the face, but for the body as well.
Yeah.
And I'm always pushing, use it on the chest, the décolletage area. You know,
it's all part of
it's all part of the
face.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see the difference when women come in and they've been using the product, they have this glow. And I get so excited. It's like, I feel like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh my God, use this. And I see the results, and that gives me such a warm feeling inside. I feel very rewarded when I see women look their best.
Right. Have you ever had a client who you knew their self-esteem was painfully low? And sometimes we can see that. We meet people, or we're somewhere, and you can sense it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You
Yes.
can tap into their energy, their spirit.
Yes.
And it's sad,
Yes.
you know, and it doesn't matter the age or background, but you know it when you feel it.
Yes.
Have you ever had that opportunity where someone showed up in your space, in your store, and you were able to do your ministry work?
Yes.
And to help them see the beauty that maybe they did not see within themselves?
Yes, I see that quite often. And this is one of the reasons I have 3 stores. One of the reasons why I'm always working in my stores is just for that opportunity to build someone up, to make someone feel that they're important. And so I do ministry every day in the store. I come across women, sometimes they can't even afford the product. And sometimes I bless them with different products.
And you've done that. You've done that with me.
Yeah.
I'll come in and you go, try this.
Yes.
Or, Crystal, give me feedback on that. Like, you have such a heart, and you have a giving spirit.
Yes.
And you want people to try different. And you're not offended if someone says, I don't really like that. You're like, okay, no problem.
Yes.
Try this. Like, you're not, it's your baby, but you're always about making it better for others. So
Yes.
you're not married to it to the point where you're sensitive
Yes, no.
about it.
No, I'm not, because it's all about the women. So I'm in this industry to help women feel better about who they are. And piggybacking off of the statement, the question you asked earlier, have I had that experience?
Yes.
I've had it so many times. And sometimes it's very, very successful where the women actually walk out feeling encouraged, feeling empowered. And sometimes I can't reach that person, but I can give them insight, directions on where to go, who to talk to, and I'm able to share those resources with the ladies. But it's very important for women to feel complete and to feel like they are enough, because a lot of women don't they don't hear someone say, you're beautiful. And I always tell the ladies that come in my store how beautiful they are. We all have beauty in different ways. Shapes, complexions, sizes, backgrounds. So it's so many different things that make women beautiful. And so I always share that. And I remember one day someone sent me an email, and I get tons of emails. And
I bet you do.
And so in this email, the person said, you always say everyone's beautiful. All of the ladies aren't beautiful.
Ooh.
And I thought that was so, like, I was hurt that the person took the time to send me an email and to share something so negative. And I replied in a very kind way. And I said, well, to me, they are. To me, they're special. To me, they have something that's worth acknowledging. And it doesn't always have to be physical. You know, like you were saying earlier, we're energy. And so a lot of times when people come in, you can feel the disposition of what they're carrying sometimes. And it's so hard for me to ignore that if I'm in the presence of that person. And so I try to cater to that individual to make them feel like they are the only important person in the store at that time. And I try to go out of my way to do that. I try to do it with every customer, but whenever I get women that I feel are just downtrodden, I really try to encourage and build them up. And that is that part of me that makes me that self-proclaimed women's ministry leader.
There you go. I love it. So let's talk about beauty. And so do you find, two questions here. One is, do you find that beauty is defined differently based on the generations? Like Gen Zs and millennials and Gen X and baby boomers, you find there's a different definition of what beauty is?
Yes.
And I want to know, what do you see where we're going with beauty?
Okay, yes.
How are we defining beauty as we're 25 years deep into the 21st century? What does beauty look like now that we have AI? That's making, you could take a picture and you could literally take off 20 years.
Yes.
And people post it. And you know when you see those people in public, you like, you don't look like that.
You're like, that's your alter ego.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard not to have that face like,
yes.
Who's that? But yeah. So go ahead. Go for it.
So the beauty industry, and that's a 2-part question. The beauty industry has shifted tremendously since our parents' era. So they came up in an era where, it was all about, you had to be prim and proper and you had to look a certain way. You had to pull your hair back and you had to be very, very conservative. And that was around, I would say like the mid 40s, 50s. That was that genre. for African American women, our relationship with history in America was a little different. So when we had pioneers like Madam C.J. Walker who came along and she said, "Hey, you're beautiful. Your hair is beautiful, and your skin is beautiful, and everything about
and your tone,
you
skin
is beautiful,
tone,
and the different
complexions.
the different complexions is beautiful." And then I'm gonna jump a little ahead, a couple of decades. So then later on, after the turn of I would say the 60s, people started rocking more of the afros and Black power, and our power is in our hair and it's connected to who we are as a people. I think that shifted. It's an extension of who we are. And so we started to embrace that as well. And then we had the early 80s where it was back to, let's try to be prim and proper. We want to look like Claire Huxtable. We want that beautiful look, and we want to cater to that. And then towards the end of the 80s, groups like Salt and Pepper, they came out, they were trendy, and we wanted to change that image of beauty to being more creative.
Right.
So that was So different haircuts, the little asymmetric cuts, the bobs, lining our lips with the black and then putting the lipstick in the middle. And all of that is back now. I even do it too sometimes.
I know,
my daughter tells me, she's like, "Mommy, you look so 90s. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, we taught you.
I'm excited.
Yes, I know.
And so, but when you look at beauty through the eyes of social media, they always had this certain standard that beauty looked this way. Right. And we were always left out of that traditional standard that the media portrayed. And so now you're seeing beauty shifted in so many different ways. You see all different complexions, all different sizes, all different races. You're seeing a broad spectrum of diversity in beauty. And that's what it is. It's a bouquet. Beauty is a bouquet of what we all make up, right? The world would be boring if everybody looked the same way.
Everybody's a red rose.
Yeah, if everybody was the beauty is in the variety, the different complexions, the different hair types, the different sizes, height, so that is what makes up the beauty genre. And I'm glad we're at a level where we can accept that for being exactly that, just different, something different, and people expressing it through their own lens of what they perceive to be beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I love to see women together in a group, and you can see different way they're expressing themselves and their beauty, especially if they're different generations. You can see, and it's all lovely. So when we come back, I want to dive into the author part of you, the things that you've published, and your most recent book that you published that is, on fire, and you're excited about it. So we're going to take a break right here. We're going to come back and learn more about Leticia. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. So we have here your latest book, which I love. I love the title of it. It's Don't Be a Pick-Me-sha. Right?
Yes.
Don't be a pick-me-sha.
Yes.
So let's talk about this. So basically, it's a guide to building self-confidence, setting boundaries, and healthy relationships. So tell me about, how was this birthed?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and what's a pick-me-sha?
Okay.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yes,
Pick-me-sha.
yes. So this book came out of a compilation of over 30 years of dealing in the arena where I had to deal with women who sometimes came in with low self-esteem. They didn't feel worthy, and I had to give advice sometimes in 5 minutes, 10 minutes before they left the store, or women would come and they would ask me questions and relationship questions on, parenting, marriage, being single, dating, all types of questions. Some I could answer, some I couldn't. And so, Don't Be a Pick-me-sha is actually a acronym. But I wanted something that was catchy and bold that would kind of make women feel a little uncomfortable enough to pick it up and say, am I a pick-me-sha? So the M is for someone. Yeah, it is. And a lot of people think it means pick me. Like I'm telling people to get into this dating tussle of, being picked or chosen for a man. And it's really not even about that.
About that.
No, it's about proclaiming self-love, to yourself, building boundaries, whether it's in the corporate arena, whether it's with friendships, whether it's in personal relationships, whether it's with your children. And so the M is for someone who's misguided or misled.
So let's slow down so we can grab this acronym. So the M is for someone who's misguided or misled. So what does that look like?
So someone who's misguided is the woman that you see who may be in her 30s or 40s and she's still doing the same thing over and over that she did as a teenager with dating or friendships or different things. So I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. I have a lady that I'm working with right now. She's in her 50s. And you would think that once someone reaches a certain age that they can kind of set boundaries and kind of control how they interact and engage with people. And this woman, sometimes she'll send me text messages or emails, or when we have different sessions where I would talk with her, she would tell me about some of the lines that she continues to allow people to cross. One of the lines is she has a son that has a lot of issues with. And even though her son has showed her time and time again that he can't be trusted, she continues to let him take advantage of certain privileges that are within her household, her car, and sometimes cash and different things of that nature. And when I give her advice or other people give her advice, she still chooses to believe whatever her son is saying, that he won't do this again. So she's misguided. She's misled because she loves her son and she's overriding her counsel by other women who can pour into her. So that's one example of someone older. Another example is someone, maybe a teenager, who is misled. She doesn't want to listen to her mother, her parents, her women around her about dating the wrong type of person. And these women are giving her advice on why she shouldn't date a certain type of individual. And it's because it can lead her down the wrong path or make her a teenage mother. And so because she doesn't want to listen to the guidance that she's given, she's misguided. And then if you're misguided, you're going to be misled. So the M is for that. It goes a lot deeper in the book. I give examples, but that is what the M is for.
So then we have the I.
The I is for insecure. So I come across a lot of women who are very insecure, and some women know it, some women don't. Sometimes I'll give a woman a compliment and she'll be like, "Oh no, I look horrible." That is a sign of insecurity. Because if someone else sees you in a certain lens, and it's not a negative lens, and it's not coming from a place of negativity or degrading, some man trying to pick up on you, but just another woman acknowledging your beauty and saying, "Oh, you look beautiful, you look stunning," and you're like, "Oh no, I look horrible today. I'm fat. I'm 50 pounds overweight." No. Don't compliment me. I'm not worthy of that compliment. So that's the insecure. And insecure can go in many, many different ways, because an insecure person can also be misguided and misled. And so that insecurity can lead you down a rabbit hole as well.
Yeah, that's good. I'm sure that's a big one.
That's a big one. And the insecurity, a lot of times I see women who are stunning and they have it all together and they don't feel worthy of someone who may be interested in them, who could possibly be their peer. And so that's where I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have my degree. I don't have the accolades that society tells me I need. So I can't pop my collar or hold my head up and shrug my shoulders back because I don't have that. So that's an insecurity. And a lot of women, and it doesn't matter what your pedigree is. It doesn't matter if you're married. It doesn't matter if you're single. Insecurity is something that can rear its ugly head across the board.
I agree with you with that one, definitely. And then we have the S.
And the S is for self-sacrificing. Someone who self-sacrifices or self-sabotages herself.
What is that
like? And so someone who self-sacrifices herself is someone who will go above and beyond to do something for someone else that she hasn't even done for herself. And so you cannot pour from an empty vessel. You can't pour from an empty vase. If you don't have gas in your car, How are you going to give someone your last $20 bill to put gas in their car? You got to take care of yourself first. And then self-sabotaging is just like surrounding yourself with people that aren't qualified to pour into you, that haven't been vetted as someone who can give you advice. And so you're taking advice from all over the board, and then you end up saying, you know what? Yeah, I shouldn't do this. This is a bad idea. You know, I'm not going to pursue my degree. I'm not going to pursue this business that I want to do. I'm not going to try to lose weight, or I'm not going to try to fix myself up. I'm 80, 90 years old. There's no hope for me. So self-sacrificing and sabotaging, is a double-edged sword, and they both run in the same arena.
That's good. That's really good. And H
is for hopeful to a fault. You see red flags all over the field, and you're ignoring them. You're being a optimistic person when there's nothing to be optimistic about. You're in a relationship, and the person is beating on you, or hitting you, or cheating on you, or doing something that is detrimental to your health, your life, and your self-esteem. And you're like, but he came back and apologized. And this is serious, because every day on Facebook, YouTube, we hear about women who are unfortunately going into the grave because they're ignoring serious red flags. They're hopeful to a fault. And frankly, I'm kind of sick about like this happening over and over. And every time I turn on YouTube or something, it's the same sad story that she took this guy back, and, you know, unfortunately he took her life. So someone being hopeful to a fault, that's an extreme example.
But it's real. And
it's happening every day. And until we wake up and learn how to set boundaries, no, if you put your hand on me, I'm not going back to you. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm going to press charges on you, and I'm going to get away from you and anything connected to that. If a young woman, or a man, some cases it's men, if you see the red flags, run and don't look back. Don't make excuses for why someone is being disrespectful, rude, or putting their hands on you. And I do volunteer work. I have done a lot of work in like the shelters, and I've worked with women who have been battered and abused. And a lot of times when you go in there, you see ladies who are pregnant, who have ran from an abusive relationship. And when the times that I've gone into shelters, I would ask the ladies, do you need prayer, or do you want me to talk to you about anything? And a lot of the ladies, they would open up and they would tell you their stories. And some of the stories were just outright sickening. So this book feeds to that as well. So this book is something that I feel is needed. I feel a lot of people overlook it. It's not about just pick me in a relationship. It's about you choosing yourself first. And so that hopeful to a fault, don't avoid the red flags. Look at the red flags and see them for what they are. And if you are not wise enough or don't have enough life wisdom, then go to get counsel from someone.
Right. And then the A of the Misha.
And so the A is for that individual who is always seeking approval. You want everybody to like you. And so you want to fit in. And so you're approval seeking. And so in the book, Don't Be a Pick-Misha, I teach women how to set boundaries, healthy boundaries that can help them become the best version of who they are. It's a short book. It's an easy read. I also have a journal that I wrote so they can do a self-guided way of correcting what they need. And I made sure it's really big so they can write. It's a wonderful way for them to see if they're a pick-misha or not. I even have a checklist in there about don't be a pick-misha.
Like a checklist is to sort of see if you are a pick-misha? Right. Does it break down like which one of the acronyms?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so I have the acronym. I explain it in more detail. And then the checklist. Some women, we have some of the tendencies. You can't help it. It doesn't matter what your pedigree is. A pick-misha can be white, black, Hispanic, Asian. She can be educated. She can be a stay-at-home mom and everything in between. So she doesn't have a look, you know.
Yes, what I love about it, I like the fact that you said it is a quick read. I mean, it's, not even 50 pages. I'm thinking total reading.
Yeah, a little bit over that. Yeah.
And you have the workbook that complements it, and you get right to the meat and potatoes.
Yes.
This is not, something fluffy. This is for people who are really serious about looking at themselves.
Exactly.
And I also think that even if you look at it and you go, it's not me, I don't think it's a bad idea to explore it.
Yeah. And most women will look at it, well, I'm not a pick-me-sha.
Right, yeah.
I'm not going to read this book. I even had some women who were upset that I wrote the book. Well, why did you write this book? And obviously I deal with thousands of women a year, not hundreds. Thousands of women come through my store. And I felt that it was needed. I felt that this book can help a lot of people. And if it can't help you, we all know someone who's in one of these situations. We all got that girlfriend that we've been giving advice to for 20 years. She still ain't listening. And it's like, hey, buy the book by Letitia Long. Don't be a pick-me-sha. Read it and do the journal, and then I'll give you advice. And so, or the young ladies, I feel that for a lot of young women, some women, they have the coming of age. Like in the Hispanic community, they have the quinceañeras. In the Black communities, they have the cotillion and the batillion. But I feel that there should be a book that young people should read. And I feel that Don't Be a Pick-me-sha is that book that should be the standard for women before they graduate from high school. They should read this book. And it should be part.
It's an easy read. And I can see how it could easily fit into, I'm going to say, junior high into high school, because you're talking about your self-esteem. Those behaviors may not be at the level of the examples that you're giving, but those behaviors are already people-pleasing.
Yes, and if you can...
insecurity, all that shows up pretty early.
It does.
Just customize it to your audience.
Exactly. And if you can catch it early, then it can change the whole trajectory of someone's life. And I feel that women in their 50s, 60s have sent me emails, have called me, have book consultations, and they're like, I'm a pick-me-sha. I've had married women call me and say, I'm a pick-me-sha, and break down crying. And so if people go into reading this book without the chip on their shoulder, but just see, what can I get out of this?
Absolutely.
That can help someone. Am I my sister's keeper? Maybe it's something in here that can help someone that I know. Maybe a niece, maybe a little sister, maybe a friend, maybe a young lady that I see that can benefit from this book. And so we are our sister's keepers in so many areas. And so I feel that Don't Be a Pick-me-sha and my other book, Vision to Victory. And I have 2 other books that I'm going to be coming out with this year. One is called Choose Me. She chose her.
Okay.
And Winning Against All Odds, which is a book about my son who just graduated with his engineering degree from Arizona State University.
Yay.
Yes, I read.
Yay, Mom. I always congratulate the parents too.
Yes. And it's kind of on a whole nother spectrum because it's a children's book. But the goal was to publish it before he actually graduated. He graduated in December. Yeah. And so I'm a very proud mommy.
You should be.
And yes. So Don't Be a Pick-me-sha. I strongly advise women to pick up a copy. They can get it on Amazon or they can get it directly off my website, Letitia Long, and share it with someone. Somebody needs this book. It has scriptures in it. It's a lot of short stories, different examples, and it's a wonderful book. And it's for all ages and all races.
Yes, good. I love it when we cover the spectrum.
Yes.
You have to cover the spectrum, of course. And however it shows up for you is how it's going to show up for you. But we have to cover the spectrum. Yes. Especially when we're thinking about women. Yes. And we have a heart for women. Yes. We're talking all types of women. So you have a lot going on. You have you're an author, you're a businesswoman, you're a chemist because you're making products.
Yes, I'm a formulator.
Have it in there,
yes.
But you are. You know, all of these things. Speaker, you do all these types of things. What do you do to get that harmony in your day-to-day life?
I do a lot of prayer and worship every morning, and I also work out. I love working out and encouraging people. Yeah. Every morning when I get up, I get on my hands and knees, I pray. I take about an hour to do devotion, and then after that, I work out. I love cooking. I'm a plant-based. I don't eat meat, so I love cooking and experimenting with different meals, and I love writing. I do a lot of journaling.
Nice,
And so my day, every day starts around 4 to 5 a.m. in the morning. And by 8, the day is done.
I'm done. I can relate to that. Yes. Early birds.
Yes.
I can relate to that.
Yes.
So as we wrap up, I love to ask people if they have a word that is sort of defining their season, their moment, their year. For me, and it hasn't changed yet. And when it does, I'll share it. But I've been hanging on to resilience. That's been my word.
To be resilient?
Yeah, just be resilient.
Yes.
What word speaks to you? And if you don't have a word or
be
phrase,
optimistic. Be optimistic. That word is what's sticking out. Find hope wherever you are. Find that glimmer. Find that light. It doesn't matter if you're 50, 60,
Doesn't matter.
70, 80.
Still here.
Yes, you have a purpose. You have a purpose, and know that you are loved and that you matter. And so be optimistic in everything you do. Always try to see the good.
Yes.
And surround people with people that see the good in you as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Letitia, for being here and being my guest. This was wonderful. Please, please, please grab this book. We'll have your information in show notes. So you can get this. It's Don't Be a Pick-Misha, but also just a link to her website so you can see all the wonderful things she's doing. And if you're in the Chandler, Arizona, or the Phoenix metropolitan area, please visit her store. It is amazing. You will walk out with something. I have my favorite soap that she knows what it is.
Yes.
You have to have it. But take a visit and really pour into this ministry that's a business.
Yes, it is.
You bet.
Ministry as a business. Check us out. We are located in the beautiful Chandler Fashion Center Mall. 3111 West Chandler Boulevard. And our other 2 locations are on Chandler as well, next to Nordstrom's Rack. We are Suite E31 and E14, pardon me, and B31. So yes, stop by. And if I'm in there, say hello. And if I'm not, take a picture and share it on our social media page.
You bet. Thank you. Have a good day. You bet.